There are women whose work doesn't just teach love, it absolutely transforms it. And Dr. Elsbeth has guided thousands of women to create lasting, intimate, and fulfilled relationships and lives. She is the best selling author of Sexual Enlightenment and has been featured on Showtime's documentary Sexual Healing and NBC's Emmy Award winning show Starting Over. Elspeth has coached billionaires, innovators, and powerful women who are devoted to living and loving from their highest potential. I think is all of us here. And she was nominated as a change maker at the White House. It was sponsored by the United States of Women Summit in Washington, D.C. Her work is both deeply, I would say, embodied and profoundly transformative because she brings the sacred and the practical in the realms of love and intimacy. It's such an honor and joy to welcome you, Elsbeth, to Sovereign Love.
Thank you so much, Chris. I'm delighted to be here with you.
And we, and I can speak for everybody, are delighted to have you. Now, Elspeth, what we're doing is everything we explore inside of Sovereign Love is about returning to the truest, most empowered expression of ourselves. And I have called that and put it into the 5 pillars of love, realizing our truth, embodying our magnetism, aligning with love's frequency, the right frequency for us, discerning with clarity so we can make the right choices, and ultimately living our destiny. And I feel that your work speaks directly to the energetic thread that runs through all of these, which is our feminine essence. It's that radiant, embodied frequency that opens us to love, to healing, and to life itself. That's where I'd like to begin with you. Is that okay?
It's beautiful, just down my alley.
Excellent. Well, let's start. So let's start at the beginning. What is feminine essence, and how have you come to be able to share and teach about it so eloquently?
Yeah, love the question. So, feminine essence for me has to do with tuning that feminine self. While I'm not speaking about appearance, it may show
Mm,
up in appearance, but that is not the driving force. It is an inner awareness, an inner flow, an inner coherence. And when I hear the 5 pillars, for me, it speaks to being coherent within myself, in
mm,
different dimensions as you laid them out. And where I'm coming from is to tune with that inner wisdom that has always been there, and often it lives under some illusion, some delusion, some aberration, some lostness, you know. And
mm,
so it's about coming back to that inner knowingness. Because when we
mm,
came into this world, or perhaps even before we entered through the birth canal, there was some knowingness, not knowledge, knowingness of who I am and
mm.
what I came here for.
Yes,
And then
yes.
my life's path unfolds, and I, come across obstacles, and it feels like the world is against me, or my parents, or I'm not good in school, or whatever it may be, all in service of becoming and re-becoming. That is
Mm,
what we came here for. So, and feminine essence is different from masculine power.
mhm,
Now, how power for me shows up in the feminine is strength. Masculine power is the yang energy. Feminine essence is the yin energy. It is not about, oh, I'm giving up my masculine energy, my yang energy. No, it is just for many of us women, given that we all or most of us participate in the marketplace where we want to be competitive. Being competitive is a yang energy. And we want to
Mm.
have that energy, otherwise, we cannot participate in the marketplace. And so many of us have tended over the years more towards their yang energy, which we trained ourselves in and got trained by the environment, and forgot about the feminine. The feminine has intuition. The feminine is flow. The feminine is the creative, the playful. And we look, and what I'm saying now is not just for heterosexual people and couples or partners. It applies equally to bisexual, to homosexual, to transgender people, because each of us has both testosterone and estrogen within us.
Mm.
The question is, how do we play that instrument of the balance of the yin and yang?
Yeah.
And if I have fallen out of my yin without me having designed that, it's an unconscious thing. So the feminine essence work reminds us of that feminine that has to do with trusting, with receiving, with opening to the vulnerable. Because
Mm.
if I want to experience intimacy, first and foremost with myself, because if I'm not connected intimately with myself, I cannot connect intimately with another. Intimacy calls for being open and vulnerable. Vulnerable as strength, not as weakness.
Mm.
And so,
Mm.
how I came to it was the second part of the question is that when I hit 50, I felt very despaired about intimate relationship. I had gotten really good as a management consultant, traveling the world. But in intimate relationships, while I had love and intimacy, but it was with unavailable men.
Mm.
And there was something in the way, like a film in front of my eyes, that I knew there is something in the way, but I didn't know what it was. And that was the moment when I dedicated my practice to studying Tantra. Tantra is an East Indian tradition that really supports us in connecting to our energetic, feminine, sexual, intimate, love self, consciousness self. And in the process, what I discovered was that I had held distrust towards men. And I didn't know that. I was not like a distrusting bitch when I was 50. I was charming, I was inviting. However, there was something holding back that I couldn't see. It was
Would
holding
you
me
say,
back.
Elspeth, was it, now that you know in retrospect, was it energetic?
It was definitely energetic if we consider memory energy.
Yeah.
All all memories energy. They are
Yeah.
thoughts, they are emotions, they are sensations. Like even when we just think back when we were 10 years old or 18 years old, something comes back probably for everyone.
Yeah.
And while we are no longer there as the 18-year-old or 10-year-old, but we can feel the feeling. So, in that sense, yes, it was, based on an experience with my first boyfriend, where I felt he asked me, I was very in love with him, and he asked me to have intercourse. And I said yes, although I was not ready. And
Mm.
it was freakingly painful. Had to go to the gynecologist. The bill came to my house. My dad opened it. All hell broke loose. My dad called me a whore. The
Oh,
boyfriend left the relationship a few weeks later, and there I was totally by myself and no soul to turn to. And at
mm,
that moment, Chris, I made that decision, not consciously. It was like this
mm,
coping decision. See, Elsbeth, men are not there for you when you really need them.
yes.
And while that was so at that moment, you know, these men, these two men who played a big role in my life, they were not there for me. And
Mm,
that trailed me into my young adulthood and then my adulthood. And no wonder that I invited unavailability, because that was a confirmation of, see, Elspeth, they are not there
yeah,
for you when you need them. It's in a curious way that we recreate the very thing that we say we don't want,
yeah,
you know, keeping
yes,
us from bringing in what we want. And
yes.
that was the time, and that all came up through the tantric healing for me, could get cleared.
Wow.
And then 6 months later, my beloved came into my life, who is now
Oh,
my partner, my life partner, my husband, my sweetheart, my business partner. And we created this institute together. So it can
beautiful.
do, you know, as you know from your own life, these shifts can really create like miracles.
Oh, yes, yes. And you've touched on it, but I want to just go a little bit further on this, which is because particularly for everyone here that will be watching and listening, how can women, maybe it's the word is begin to access her feminine essence so that she can experience a pleasure, a joy, a bliss? Because we know when we do, there's a we'd call it feminine essence, but also vibrational essence that goes out that will start attracting in a different experiences. But because that's such a large question, I want to sort of to preface it with how can women begin to access feminine essence?
Yeah, great question. So I know, because also energy is so elusive.
Yeah,
You know, we
yeah,
cannot see it, we cannot grasp it. So what is it?
yeah,
And it is so essential for me, the shift also, having then Freddie, my beloved, come into my life, was not an external change.
no,
Initially, the initial shift was actually a frequency shift within me,
mm,
from that distrust to trust, trusting myself more fully, then
yeah,
trusting men in general. But that was an internal shift. And that is then the frequency within shifts, calibrates on a different pitch, so to speak. And that pitch then invites a pitch that is coherent. But this is not like, oh, I want to get this man. It's not an external thing. It's just that the environment then adheres to the frequency that I am. So,
yes,
back to how can I cultivate that? I think that is part of your question. How can I
yes,
even find my way into myself? Uh,
yeah,
for me, there are three key dimensions. I'm not saying that there are not other dimensions, but three key dimensions we want to start out with. The first dimension is to learn to ground myself and listen to myself, to my being in the base. What I call the base is the first and second energy center in the chakra system. So it's around the perineum and above the pubic bone, these two centers. They are connected with our primal life force energy that brought us into this world,
mhm,
that these centers have to do with pleasure, with joy, with creativity, with aliveness, with vitality, passion, you know. And I want to start connecting with this place, and we can start connecting with it in a very subtle way, because for some women it's a little bit scary to go there.
yeah,
For
Yeah.
others, it's like, oh, I've been waiting for this, you know, because it's that primal sexual energy that is so loaded. The second dimension is the heart, the love. Love energy, the frequency of love energy is quite different from the frequency of our creative sexual energy. One is not better than the other, and they get confused. You know, that falling in love, and then we give our body, and then we get confused. And for men, it's different.
Mm.
They are not so interconnected between the heart and the sex, you know, so they
Mm.
can have sex without attachment. And it's
Mm.
not something that we guide from our conscious mind. It's a physiological, chemical, emotional, you know, coordination that often happens. And so I want to tune with my heart and open my heart to myself. Sometimes the sadness may be discovered, sometimes a closedness, because it may not be safe to open my heart. Again, has to do with trusting.
Yeah.
And definitely for me, that heart sex connection was like a rediscovery for me through my healing process. So when I, you know, had this experience with my boyfriend, my first boyfriend, I, after that, I became quite promiscuous. And perhaps there was some inkling of, oh, perhaps getting love through sex.
Yeah.
It was easier to get sex than love,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
At least for me, I'm not saying that is so for everybody. So, but this didn't happen. I mean, the love through the sex. And so for me, I needed to recalibrate into opening my heart so that my heart could open to my sexual center. I brought my sexual center today. In Sanskrit, she is called Yoni, which
Yeah.
means sacred space. You know, having
Mm.
our sexual center, that creative center that brings forth life, that brings is the fuel for bringing forth our life. You
Yeah.
know, not only new life, but I can
Yeah.
learn to harness that wonderful, alive, creative, pleasurable energy to fuel my heart, to support my heart, to expand my heart. What I like to do when I work with women is that they get an opportunity to first tune with their heart, because the
Yeah.
heart is really the center point between our upper centers, our consciousness, and our earthly being. So
Mm.
opening my heart allows for more compassion. So then the third dimension is the mental, and then most importantly, the conscious being or consciousness, because consciousness shows up within us and consciousness everywhere. And
Mm.
we can cultivate our upper centers like the sixth and the seventh center, that they become like conduits or portals to receive information, like
Oh,
frequency. Frequency is
yes.
information. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and this is why I'm mentioning that, has to do with that many women are quite intuitive.
Mm.
However, they may not trust their intuition, or they may be so much in their head that the logical, the rational overrides love, overrides intuitive sensing and receiving.
Mm.
And so these three dimensions is where we want to tap into. And each of them, when we speak about love, love is an emotion.
Mm.
pure frequency. We cannot see love. We cannot touch love. Now, that doesn't mean that a person may have an appearance of being in love. The
Mm,
face is lit up, you know, it's the whole chest is open. But love itself, we
mm,
cannot see. We want to learn to tune with the frequency of love. And we want to learn to tune with the frequency of conscious awareness, which
mhm.
then shows up in our thoughts, you know. Excuse me. We want to tune with the frequency of the primal energy, like pleasure, you
Yeah,
know, arousal. That those are sensations, and sensations are pure frequency. They
yeah.
have a physiological location,
Hmm.
yeah, and they show up in our nervous system. But the way we feel it is they are sensations that are frequency. So,
Yes.
and I also like to guide women in a very concrete way. So, because it opens up in experience, and transformation happens through shifting experience.
Yes.
That is,
Yes.
doesn't happen through intellectual understanding. I'm not saying that we can, just like you introduce certain concepts, distinctions
Yeah.
that guide us then to, you know, bring our awareness to a certain phenomenon.
Mm, mm.
And that then wants to be practiced and experienced and embodied so that it becomes us.
Yeah. And what I like that you've said there, because I want um, everyone to hear the word practice and embodied, because when we feel that shift, and we can feel it quite quickly, but it can also disappear very quickly. It is about being able to have some form of our own practice to, and I say it like to infuse ourselves with that connection so that it starts to become and feel a normal part of us. Because so many of us have had some form of, we could say, trauma, and you were speaking about it earlier, how we shift out and we're into our heads and we can make all these decisions. But actually, we want to come back to our true essence, our true feelings, trust our intuition, trust that higher message that comes through to us, and act upon it rather than override it. So, what I wanted everyone here that watches this to hear is, when you find this and you you have that shift into more feminine essence, it's about allowing yourself through some practice to nurture it, to embody it, to infuse it so it becomes natural. And all of us have to do that.
Right. It's so great that you
It's,
bring this up, Chris,
yeah,
with the practice, because so it's all about shifting the nervous system.
yes,
And the nervous system learns through practice. The nervous
yeah,
system doesn't learn through insight.
no,
Although a new insight, you know, to see something, like for me to see that I had made this decision that was cluttering up my life, you know, men are not there
mm,
for me when I really need them. How much that was a belief had become a belief, and that
yeah,
belief lives in my nervous system.
yes.
It's I mean, an impulsive reaction. It's
I
not,
was going
I
to say
don't,
instantaneous. Yes.
instantaneous, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not reflected, you know. And then my frequency is calibrated with that holding back without me
Yeah.
knowing.
Yes. Yes.
And this distrust, you know, like it's not safe to open my heart, all of that played in the background. And so, so yeah, what was there? There was, oh, practice that you brought
Yeah.
that up. It's so
Yeah.
valuable. Um, So how I look at it is that um, at first we want to open up new spaces. I don't know how you see this in your work, but like when I work with women, it's like opening up almost like a new worldview of possibility,
Yes.
you know, because in this, men are not there for me when I really need them, is a particular world I live in,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So having a guide who opens up new vistas, what is possible, particularly when this new vista is correlated to my heart's desire. You know what
Yeah.
I'm yearning for, but there is this
Yeah.
wall, the
Yes.
wall I put there without me knowing it. So to see new possibilities and come from different, you know, corners to and however we may bring that forth in our teaching or our guidance, and then whatever opens up for the woman that is deeply related to her personal past experience or what she is still hanging out with. So she
Yeah.
gets to see something about herself that she couldn't see beforehand.
Yeah.
And that new seeing wants to be supported by
Yes.
practices that assist in cultivating this new seeing. Because otherwise, it's just a good idea,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
And I
I
think,
mean,
yeah, I
please.
was going to say, you're threading into something I wanted to bring in. And I think this is the moment, even though you've answered it to an extent, I just want to almost wrap it together because we all want to know when we're not with our soulmate, you are, I am. But for all the other women, our soul sisters, that we want them to have that experience if that's what they want and that's why they're here. So I want to ask this, and again, it's a big question, and we need to sort of distill it where we can. But how is our feminine essence related to bringing in our beloved into our life?
For me, it goes back deeply to tuning with my vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought, you know, the men were not available until I got to, through my healing, I got to see that I had not been available. Because if I don't
Yes.
trust, I looked so available at the outside, but the
Yes.
frequency within was like this. Like I was like, oh yes, but there was from here, from the heart, there was
Yeah.
something, and opening to myself and allowing myself to feel and to feel into the uncomfortable places,
Mm.
because those are the places I'm trying to prevent. To prevent myself from feeling again.
Yes.
You know, I mean, who wants to go back there? And I'm not saying we have to go back to every incident. No, usually there's a pivotal one. Could be at
Mm.
1 years old or 10
Mm.
years old. And in my work, it's also not now going like deep into the past and, you know, digging in there. No, it's tapping into it as a reference point,
Mm.
because there's where I can axe that feeling, that emotion that I'm perhaps trying to prevent, not
Yeah.
consciously, you
No.
know.
No.
So we tap into that and then we move through it. And in the work I do, there's also somatic release, not only emotional release. So, because the body stores these feelings and memories, and
Yes.
so clearing it out, and also using the creative sexual energy that is often so connected with not trusting, with fear,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
feeling unsafe, you know, all the opposites of having a wonderful, open, and flowing orgasm, because
Yeah.
orgasm requires letting go. It's the
Yes.
ultimate letting
Yes.
go, you know.
Yes.
And so in the work, we don't go right away to that, of
No.
course, you know. But
Yeah.
it's like the more familiar I become with that it's safe to be within myself, that it's safe to be connected with my creative energy, that it's safe to feel my heart opening, even a little bit like a flower, and then
Yeah.
a little more, and a little more. And that is what I then call connecting to my feminine, where
Yeah.
I don't live in protection with the armor, with the rationalization. And that doesn't mean that I become imprudent.
No.
You know, I
No.
think that leads to your one pillar of actually clarity.
With
Do you have
discernment.
discernment? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I'm about to pick that up because what I'm hearing is that when we are in um, that sensory part of ourselves, we are actually like a thin thread of silk. We are so powerful and connected, but it's not the masculine looking powerful, it's the inner, attuned power that we own, that's within our feminine essence, that enables us to say no, yes, a bit more, not so much. That's the discernment that we actually are able to embody by having that connection to ourselves. And I know that when the women start to experience that, hearing it and feeling it from you, and then experiencing it, it becomes such a beautiful sense of your own empowerment, the feminine empowerment. And that is powerful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
before I don't, yeah, you say something
Can I
before we
just
get,
add one more thing?
yeah,
And that having tuned into that, for me, that is the preparation to bring the beloved in,
yes,
you know,
yes,
because it's like I'm like an instrument that resonates on certain pitches, certain frequencies. And if
mm,
I live on a pitch that is off, like I was living on a pitch that was off, looking for a man, but my inner frequency guided me very reliably to the one who was not available, that had
yes,
particular attraction. No, but
yeah,
not from here. It was
no,
just, and by aligning, by attuning my frequencies within, where my sex and my heart and my consciousness came into attunement so that they could flow together, it was like a sound that was in tune,
mm,
because like energy attracts like energy. So when I'm off tune, I attract off tune,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And when
Uh,
I'm in tune here, then the intunement comes. I
yes,
mean, that is what I attract. It's not, I don't do attraction. I
no,
am
um,
attraction.
very profound. Yes, beautiful. And Elspeth, for the women that resonate so deeply with what you've said and the activation of the feminine essence, can you tell us about your lovely special resource you've got as a gift for them, the Yoni Awakening?
Yeah, I love to, Chris.
I can't wait
Yeah,
to hear.
because we spoke earlier about practice. So a new
Yeah.
world opens or a world expands. What's the practice then for that? And the gift I have for everyone who is listening today is what I call Yoni Awakening. Remember the Yoni? And why I want to share these practice with you, it's a whole video class, actually. I really wanted to give you something substantial so that you
Mm.
can, out of this conversation, take this into your life. And when we tap into our creative life force energy, it's like, when we harnessed lightning,
Yeah.
and transformed it into electricity, we can harness our life force energy to fuel our heart energy, our love energy, to fuel our consciousness, and of course it's circular. It doesn't just go out, it comes back, goes like
Yeah.
this. And when you as a woman are grounded in your life-giving energy, your yoni energy, it's not only that it gives us confidence, it's literally groundedness and being connected to Mother Earth without
Mm.
having to think about Mother Earth. It's just like the
Mm.
frequencies connected. And from there, I'm opening my heart. And so, of course, in that class, we go into all three dimensions.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
However, I call it Yoni Awakening because this is like where we harness the lightning.
Beautiful. Oh, what a truly beautiful gift and a most extraordinary transmission we've had today with you. Thank you for sharing your heart, your wisdom so generously. It's been an absolute honor to have you with us again. Thank you, Elsbeth.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. I mean, I just love your guidance of the conversation and the attunement between the two of us. It's delicious.
It really is. And we really hope everyone that watches this feels and tunes into that deliciousness too.
Thank you.